Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of The Red Thread with me, Catrice Horsley, from a rather hot Sweden at the moment. The Red Thread is all about helping us explore our inner narrative, our inner story, in order to create the change we want to see in our external lives. And in today's episode, I want to help you identify the three areas where that red thread shows up the most. If we think about the previous episode, that red thread is woven from our foundational stories, the stories that are foundational to our belief about ourselves, who we are, what we are, and how we are. And all of our life events are kind of laid on top of those foundational threads. And we make sense of our life events through those foundational stories that we carry. And quite often, there can be snags and pulls in those life events, feelings and sensations, discord, and we don't quite realize why. And we don't quite realize how that is affecting us. And that's what I want to look at in this episode. So, the three areas where our red thread shows up the most. So, in some ways, our red thread is like an embroidery thread, and you can split it into these three sections. And it shows up the most in time, in our physical, not just our physical space and environment, but our physical bodies and our relationship with our bodies, and then in our behavior, to do with our emotions, to do with whether we have boundaries and are good at setting boundaries or not. So it shows up in these three areas. And I want to explain those and give examples in a little bit more detail. So, first of all, let's look at behaviors, boundaries, emotions, etc. Now, if one of our foundational threads links into the idea that we are unworthy of love or we're not good enough, that is going to impact on our ability to set boundaries and to say to people, I'm not going to do what you want me to do because I'm giving myself worth and value, or I'm giving my work worth and value. And it's really hard to maintain that if you think the needs of the others are worth more than yours, because your foundational story tells you that you're not worth as much as others. And that can be reflected perhaps, especially if you're a parent, in constantly thinking your children's needs are greater than yours. If you're in relationships, your partner's needs are greater than yours, or your parents' needs, everybody's needs are greater than yours. Even in an office environment, you can end up, I don't know, being the one who makes sure that the dishwasher gets stacked rather than doing other work that you feel that and know that you should be doing, rather than going to the gym because you know you need to work out, and you know it makes you feel better, and you know that you should and it will help your body, but you are valuing your body and the worth of your body less than loading the dishwasher. So it shows up in our behaviors and where we place ourselves in the order of need and worth. The second area it shows up is in time. I so often hear people say to me, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do art. I don't have time to go for walks. I don't have time. It is not about time. It is about prioritizing. It is about prioritizing, hard word for me to say, your needs above the needs of others. So you might say, I haven't got time to go out for a walk, which I know is good for my mental health, because I've got to clear up today and I've got to cook the dinner and I've got to finish those documents and I've got to get those emails off. Actually, you could say, right, I'm not going to prepare the dinner. I'm going to ask my partner to prepare the dinner, or I'm going to ask the kids to prepare the dinner, or we're going to get a take-in or a takeaway, however you call it, because I'm prioritizing my walk and my needs and the time I need for that above the time that I'm giving to other things. So it shows up in how we manage our time and how we prioritize our time. It is not so much to do with how much time we have, but how we use the time that we have. And then the last area is in our physical environment, our physical space, and also this idea of us as physical human beings. So let me talk a little bit about space first of all. I live with my husband in quite a small flat. It's 2 bedrooms. It's on the 3rd floor, so 3 flights up. And my office is the guest room. It's the spare room. So there's a sofa bed here. And when people come and stay, I can't come in here and work. I work at the living room table or I work in the bedroom. The desk that I'm using, I share with my partner. So he's got a chair here next to me, and I have half the desk and he has half the desk. But at least I have half the desk. I have this space that is my physical space where I put my computer, some of my books. This is my space to work in because I am worth that and my work is worth that. And I like to keep this space relatively, I say uncluttered for me. I want it to be inviting. So even though I don't have an office and even though I don't have a complete desk, I have half a desk and that is my space, my physical space that I work at. So I often hear people say, I don't have a place to work. I don't have a spare bedroom. I don't have an office. And I absolutely 100% understand that. And for me, my physical environment really impacts on my ability to work. If there's a lot of mess around me, I find it very difficult to focus and concentrate because I will want to clean up. And that's to do with this worth and work and giving myself value. So you don't actually need an office space. You don't actually even need a separate room. You don't even need a complete table. You can have half of a table that's yours. You can have part of a room that's got your yoga mat in. You can have a tiny table in the living room that's got some candles on and some things that you want to place there to remind you to breathe and to relax, and you allocate yourself a little bit of time in the morning or in the evening where you say to your family, you say to your partner, this is my time and I cannot be interrupted during this time. And you do what you want to do. You do what you need to do to show yourself that you are worthy of that time and you are worthy of that space. When you've got young children, that can be difficult. I can remember there was hardly any area of the house that we had when my kids were young that was not covered with toys or something to do with children's stuff. And it really impacted on me almost having clarity of thought with all of these things around me that reminded me purely of my role as a mother and not as a creative woman, as a writer, as a working woman, in fact. So I do think it is important for us all, if we are valuing ourselves and valuing our red thread, to sculpt out, mark out a specific time. It can even start with just half an hour, and a specific place that is yours and yours alone during the day. So that's to do with your physical space and this idea of time and this idea of you believing that you are worth that and setting those boundaries down. All of those are connected. Your behavior, if you feel that you are worthy of it and your work worthy of it, will mean that you create time that is yours and yours alone to do, even if it's a bath, having a gorgeous bath without interruption, having a lovely shower, playing on your games console, whatever it is, that is your time, your space. And this idea of physical space. Now, I've included body here because, and it could just be me, but the time I give to working on my body is always the last thing on my priorities list. And I was thinking about this the other day. I had decided I was going to start a slightly more intensive workout plan. I was going to start on that day. I'd sorted out what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. I wanted to do that first thing in the morning. My husband got occupied with something and the dog was moaning and the dog wanted to go out. And what I should have done is shut the door to this room and left the dog, because the dog he doesn't need to go out just when he starts whining. And my husband was going to take him out in about like 20 minutes time. But somehow I couldn't do that. I couldn't even put a boundary down between me and the dog. And so I ended up taking the dog out and being really resentful about taking the dog out, because I had planned I was going to do this workout, I was going to do this, and I was going to do this, and I was going to do this. And I can't even, I was so angry with myself, say no to the dog. I haven't even got boundaries between me and the dog. And I came up and after taking him out, and I was just furious, actually. And it wasn't with the dog and it wasn't with my husband, who couldn't help this time that he was taking. And he did take the dog out, that my husband took the dog out. Why didn't I trust him to take the dog out? I was furious with myself. I was furious with myself for not giving my body value and worth and just doing my workout. And notice there that I say my body as though it is separate to me. What I should have said, and I think this is a major problem with many of us who have struggled with our relationships with our bodies, I shouldn't have said my body. I should have said me, not valuing me, because I am my body. And so it is always this last thing in my priorities, because I suddenly had this thought that I am separate to my body. It is like it's a different entity to me. This me. This is me, my head, my thoughts, my body is something I'm working on. My body is something separate to me. I need to work on my body. I need to, I even talk about it, my legs are so fat, or my legs are not strong enough. Not, I am not strong enough, and they are part of me. And so I was thinking, if you're like this, I mean, I've had, from when I was a teenager, a battle with the idea of what I should look like and what I actually look like. And that comes from being in a family where diets were always a thing. It was like, what diet are you on next? There was rarely a moment that my mom wasn't on a diet. And also it comes from being a female and playing in the playground at school, not being allowed to wear trousers, not wanting to show your knickers because you had to wear a skirt, so you couldn't play the rough and tumble fun games. You knew that you had to cover up because there were gazes upon you. I was very aware of the fact that I was being judged by how I looked, not who I was, but how I looked. That was where my value lay. And that was also supported and magnified within the family that I grew up in. And I don't know why it's taken me till 57 to realize that I have a separation between me and my body, as though it's a separate entity. Because I can remember when I was younger, perhaps before I was 8, that I would just run and I would just play and I would just do stuff. And I was just Catrice. I wasn't Catrice with boobs and the bum and knees and legs and the belly. And I was just Catrice. I never thought of myself separately. But now I do. I talk about my body as though it's a separate entity to me. And I think that's linked into why I don't prioritize it, because I can prioritize some of the stuff that I do, writing and being creative and thinking and reflecting and going out in nature, because all of those are worthy. They are worth my attention. My body, really? I mean, I try and be strong. And the reason I have been relatively more consistent in my working out and my exercising is because I want to gift my 60-year-old self strength and flexibility. I want to be a strong, older woman who can walk and carry things and has got strong balance and, has got a strong body. But I couldn't think of gifting that to me now with regards to my body. So it's almost like my body isn't worth my attention because I've never thought of my body as something worthy of worth or value. That was quite a revelation to me. And I thought perhaps some of you might feel the same, that you talk about your body as though it isn't you, as though it exists separate to you. And so you don't give it worth and value. And that worth and value doesn't have to be to do with the size of your body, the shape of your body. It doesn't have to be with making it stronger, but believing it has worth and value by giving it a lovely bath, giving yourself a lovely bath. If you want to, I don't know, doing your nails, if that's your thing. But loving it. Because we often say that we are worthy of love. But when we think of our bodies, many of us might struggle with thinking our bodies are worthy of love, but our bodies are us. So I wanted to mention that on the end of this section, that physical space is also the space that your body occupies. It is you. And that is worthy of attention, love, and care. You don't have to celebrate your body. We don't have to be positive about our bodies, but care for them because they are worthy of care. I get a bit peeved about the whole body positivity thing. I don't have to be celebratory about the whole damn thing. I'm sure many men don't even think about, I'm going to celebrate my physique today. Why do we have to do all these things? It's us. It's us. It's as simple as that. So on that, I'm going to leave you. So as a task, what I think it would be really interesting to look at is look around your house, your home environment. Do you have a space that is your space where you feel that you can do what you want to do to value yourself? Do you have a time in the day where there are no interruptions from anybody else? And not that you get up really, really early to give yourself that half hour, because that's not really giving boundaries. That's sneaking it in so that you don't have to have the difficult conversations with your family. That's like stealth. So time in your day where you have put your boundaries down and you've said to your family, the people around you, if you live with others, you can't interrupt me here during this time. That's my time. So do you have a space you can call your own? Do you have a time you can call your own? Do you have a body you can give worth and care to? Because that is you giving worth and care to you. And these things have to become a daily practice, because it's only by practicing having space daily, having time daily, that we can change the behaviors that we hold that make us feel we're not worthy of those things. We are worthy of them. So by implementing those daily practices, you start to spin that red thread into something stronger and into something that other people can see and recognize, so that they know how to give you value. You have shown them this space and this time because I'm worth this. I hope that was useful for you all who are listening. As I say, I am designing a course at the moment all about the red thread, and there will be details coming up soon, but we have got the summer coming up. So many people have said, don't do it now, Patrice, do it after the summer. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So it's midsummer in Sweden. We're going to have big celebrations and drink lots of snaps and sing strange Swedish songs that I don't fully understand, but I can actually sing now, which is great. So enjoy your midsummer. Enjoy creating your spaces. Enjoy creating your time. And enjoy caring for yourself by caring for your body. Bye-bye for now. Take care.